right? Blocking is just me doing blocking either at the PIP or the DIP. So that can be an exercise just in active range of motion, right? You can have them block and do a little bit of resistance, right? So if I wanted just to do DIP, I could do something like that. Or if I wanted to add PIP, I can use TheraBand. They have the DigiFlex types of things. DigiFlex are where you see those little individual kind of things. So I could do, if I wanted to get my DIP involved, I could put the DigiFlex more on the DIP, right? If I wanted to be up here, I could grab a little deeper onto it and just kind of press down at the PIP. Just make sure if you're trying to isolate something, you're trying to get them to isolate that movement. So you got TheraBand, you got putty. Again, putty's good because you can kind of put, if you're doing dorsal interossei, you can wrap the putty around and spread it apart. If you're doing palmar interossei, you can stick it together and squeeze it. I tell a person to set it by their table, and when the commercial comes on, which usually lasts 3 or 4 minutes, grab it out and just start doing some things with it. Maybe isolating. You can wrap it around, put it down, and lift up against the resistance of the putty. Or you can do TheraBand. All right. You can also do functional tasks. Like if I were just to if I do like a finger pinch and I do this, and I'm lifting 3-pound weight, that's my fingers, right? My finger flexors are doing that in order to grab that like that, all right? You could do a finger flexion roll. So if I get the weight out like that, I can roll that weight up, and that makes it a little bit different if I get it going like so, right? You can do other tasks that you normally see with the wrist. For instance, if I'm trying to get my wrist extensors, like that roll where you kind of roll up a weight, like that can be a wrist, but I can also make it be my fingers if I really kind of accentuate my finger pull-up as I'm rolling up the wrist, right? So it's easy and it's isolated if you just want to do one motion, but then probably you want to do something functional like lifting, pulling, doing something like that to make it work your fingers, okay? You can do just a grip, like I said, if I give them like a little football, right? I can give them a little football and I can say just do the tip of your finger or just do your PIP. So it's just making sure you educate them what they want. Otherwise, if you just give them a football, they're just going to squeeze, and then they might not squeeze it at the appropriate finger. If you're working index finger, they might put it all the way up here and just be squeezing here, and the little pinky's doing nothing, right? Just make sure you don't make it such a functional task that you're missing the point of the isolated movement that you want. All right? Usually fingers have like gadgetry, right? You got the little ball that has the little fingers that you put through, and so you kind of extend it out, or you have various grip type of things, all the way from what you used to see like with weightlifter kind of guys where they have that different resistance springs to where you have rubber bands. So there's all kinds of hand equipment that does that, all right? Really, there is a strength component, but really it comes down to a really fine motor movement, right? So it might be an exercise might be, hey, just go home and get a shirt out of your closet and unbutton and button it, 20 times. Because it's not so much how strong is my finger, it's does it have the dexterity to do what I want it to do? Lay out a whole bunch of coins and just flip them over. Can I grab the coin and flip it over, right? So there's a component of we're saying here, hey, therapeutic exercise is strength, but again, you do have grip strength that's important. Extension strength is really not that important. Most of us in here are probably a little bit weak. The only thing that's important is it's strong enough for me to open my hand. I don't ever really lift weights going backwards, right? That's just not important.
In the sand?
Yeah, you could get in sand. That's a good place to use a fluidal therapy. I don't know how much you guys have used fluidal therapy, but if you adjust the fan intensity, the movement in there is easier or harder. Like if you have to make it really flowing, it's really easy. If it's slow down the speed, it's a little more resistance to movement. So there's a lot of options. It's just not quite as what we think of as therapeutic exercise like we thought of in the shoulder and the elbow. Like, must strengthen. A lot of problems with the shoulder are that it's a strength problem. Not saying none of the hand problems are strength. There's definitely a strength component, but often you got to think about what can they functionally not do. And that's when that adaptation to specific demands. Like if I want to button my shirt, I should probably do some kind of buttoning task, right? Start with the bigger button, probably working toward a smaller button. All right? Good enough? If you got any questions over this,